They say wisdom is the greatest power a man can possess. But what if that wisdom unlocked doors not meant to be opened? What if the wisest man in biblical history, King Solomon himself, stumbled upon a secret so powerful, so dangerous, it allowed him to command spirits? Demons, even fallen angels? This is not the Solomon you read about in Sunday school. This is a version whispered through the corridors of apocryphal texts, buried in ancient scrolls, and hidden within occult manuscripts. A Solomon who wielded a mysterious ring, an object said to bear the name of God, and with it, the power to bend supernatural beings to his will. But how did this come to be? How did a mortal man rise to become a master of demons? According to the Testament of Solomon, a powerful demon named Ornias had been draining the vitality of a young boy working on the temple. With a command, Solomon summoned Ornias and chained him with the ring's power. Instead of destroying him, Solomon questioned him. He demanded to know his origins, his powers, and what other demons existed in the underworld. Ornias spoke of legions, each with their own dominions over nature, disease, temptation, and death. Solomon, intrigued and perhaps emboldened, began calling them one by one, and they came. One by one, demons manifested before Solomon, some hideous, some beautiful, some monstrous. Beelzebub, the prince of demons. Asmodeus, the spirit of lust. Abizithibod, a demon who once sat at the left hand of Pharaoh. Solomon interrogated them all, recorded their names, their functions, and the angels that could subdue them. He built a library not of scrolls, but of spirits. According to the myth, he forced these demons to work for him, to cut stones, move heavy materials, and build the temple itself. Imagine that, the holiest place in ancient Israel, built not just by men, but by demons under divine control. But was this truly holy work? Or had Solomon overstepped his boundaries? The Testament of Solomon, an apocryphal text dated somewhere between the 1st and 5th centuries AD, claims to be written by Solomon himself. It reads like an ancient grimoire, cataloging the names and natures of dozens of demonic entities, each bound and interrogated under the power of the ring. But here's the question. Where did this knowledge come from? Some scholars believe Solomon's ring represents ancient magical traditions absorbed from Egypt, Babylon, or even further east. Others say it's rooted in Kabbalistic mysticism, a deep system of divine names, angelic hierarchies, and spiritual manipulation. The seal of Solomon would later become a staple symbol in alchemical circles, talismans, and magical texts across Jewish, Islamic, and Western esoteric traditions. But it wasn't just the ring, it was the name inscribed upon it. The ineffable name of God, a name so sacred, so powerful, that ancient rabbis believed even uttering it could rearrange the universe. And Solomon, they say, wore it on his finger. Yet, with great power comes great danger. Stories began to circulate that Solomon's power had corrupted him, that his hunger for knowledge and control opened the door for darker forces. According to rabbinic tradition, one of the very demons he enslaved, Asmodeus, eventually deceived him. While Solomon bathed in his palace, Asmodeus allegedly stole the ring, cast Solomon out into the wilderness, and impersonated him on the throne. For years, Solomon wandered, a beggar king without his power, until at last he reclaimed the ring and returned. But something had changed. Why do so many of these stories survive outside the Bible? Because they were deemed too dangerous, too heretical, too magical. Yet they persisted hidden in Greek manuscripts, echoed in Islamic texts like the Kitab al-Bulhan, and even referenced in European grimoires from the Middle Ages. In Islamic tradition, Solomon Sulaiman is described not only as a prophet, but as a ruler of jinn. The Quran states that he was granted dominion over winds, animals, and spirits. He spoke the language of birds and commanded invisible forces. In Surah Sad, it is said that an army of jinn labored under his command, and that when he died, They continued working unaware. He was dead, until a worm ate through his staff and his body fell. What kind of man dies standing up? What kind of power is that? Some believe Solomon was not merely a wise king, but a mystic, a magician, a man who tapped into the hidden architecture of the universe. He knew the names of angels and the sigils of demons. He built the temple as a gateway, some say a portal between heaven and earth, or perhaps something else entirely. But what happened to the ring? Legend says the ring was buried with Solomon, hidden in an unmarked grave. Others claim it passed to Babylonian magi, to secret priesthoods, to occult societies that continue to use its power today. Could the seal of Solomon be the root of modern magic? Could it have inspired the legends of the Philosopher's Stone? Or was it simply a metaphor, a symbol for man as eternal thirst to control the forces he does not understand? The trail doesn't end with Solomon. In medieval Europe, texts like the Key of Solomon and the Lemegend surfaced, grimoires attributed to the king himself. These books detail ceremonial magic, summoning rituals, and protective circles. Many of the demons in these books mirror those in the Testament of Solomon, suggesting a continuous thread of occult knowledge stretching from ancient Israel to the Renaissance and beyond. And then there's the architecture. Some researchers claim that Solomon's temple wasn't just a place of worship, but a machine, a resonance chamber, a structure designed to channel spiritual or metaphysical energy. If demons were indeed used in its construction, what secrets did they build into the walls? Were sigils etched beneath the stone? Were names of power sealed in the foundations? And if so, are they still there? Modern archaeologists have never found definitive evidence of Solomon's temple, but that hasn't stopped theorists from pointing to Masonic traditions, hidden vaults beneath Jerusalem, and strange patterns in ancient ruins. Could the temple be hidden underground, its secrets locked away until the right key or the right ring unleashes them again? What if everything we think we know about biblical history is just the surface of a deeper, more mystical reality? A reality where kings command demons, where rings bear the name of God, where ancient wisdom is not merely knowledge, but power. And what if that power never left? What if it's still out there, waiting for someone to wear the ring once more? If Solomon truly held power over demons and spiritual forces, the implications ripple far beyond the boundaries of Israel's ancient borders. His influence stretches into the shadows of world history, through the cryptic symbols of secret societies, the coded pages of lost books, and the oral traditions passed down by mystics and sages. Let's follow that thread deeper into the heart of esoteric Judaism and the birth of practical Kabbalah. Centuries after Solomon, Jewish mystics began exploring the metaphysical realms through sacred names, angelic hierarchies, and divine permutations. These teachings whispered that Solomon's power did not die with him. It evolved. It was preserved, protected, hidden among scrolls that could only be read by those initiated into divine mystery. In the Kabbalistic tree of life, each sephira corresponds to aspects of divine manifestation. Some say Solomon, through the ring and the wisdom granted to him, accessed the Sephirotic flow, that he understood how divine energy Shefa moves from the infinite to the finite, that he wielded names not merely as labels, but as keys to reality itself. And if he used those names to control demons, what else could he have done? One forgotten text, rarely discussed outside academic circles, is the Hekkalot literature, Jewish mystical writings that describe the ascent of the soul into heavenly palaces. These texts speak of angelic guardians, perilous passages, and uttering precise divine names to gain safe passage. The initiates of these rituals believed they could access the same authority Solomon once had by replicating his path through holy utterance. Then there's the strange connection between Solomon and alchemy. Throughout the Islamic Golden Age, scholars and alchemists revered Solomon not just as a prophet, but as a master of hidden sciences. In Persian and Arabic traditions, he appears in treatises about the elixir of life, the Philosopher's Stone, and the language of animals. Some even believed his ring could transmute base metals into gold, not just physically, but spiritually, symbolizing the transformation of the soul from impurity to divine illumination. In one obscure tale from the 1001 Nights, Solomon is said to have imprisoned rebellious jinn in bottles sealed with lead and marked with his sigil. These bottles were scattered across the world, lost to time. But the implication is terrifying. If even one of those seals were broken, what would be unleashed? This may sound like myth, like fantasy. But consider this. In 2009, a group of marine archaeologists off the coast of Oman discovered a strange lead container etched with unknown symbols. Inside was a dark, hardened resin burned shut. Initial tests showed nothing conclusive, but the container mysteriously disappeared from academic records. Was it just ancient cargo? Or something else? And then there are the Freemasons. Modern Masonic lodges trace their roots back to the builders of Solomon's temple. The lore passed through Masonic tradition holds Solomon as the original Grand Master Architect of sacred geometry and guardian of divine knowledge. Their rituals, filled with symbolic tools, veils, and passwords, echo ancient mystery schools that may have survived through Solomon's lineage. Some high-degree Masonic orders even reference the lost word of God, a secret name said to possess the power of creation itself. Could this be the same ineffable name inscribed on Solomon's ring? A name too holy to pronounce, yet too powerful to forget. But the deeper we dig, the more unsettling the truth becomes. In the grimoires attributed to Solomon, like the Clavicula Salomonis or Lemagine, the line between angel and demon blurs. The entities described can heal diseases, find treasure, sow love, or destroy enemies. They serve whoever calls them, provided the proper ritual is followed. These are not mindless beasts. They are intelligent, strategic, bound by cosmic laws that only those like Solomon seem to fully comprehend. Which leads us to the most disturbing question of all. Are people still using Solomon's knowledge today? Occult practitioners, ceremonial magicians, and secret orders still invoke the names found in the Ars Goetia, the first book of the Lemegeton. They draw circles, utter conjurations, and call forth the same 72 spirits said to have served Solomon. Whether symbolic or literal, the rituals have not faded with time. In fact, the digital age has made them more accessible than ever. Online forums share modernized versions of the summoning rites. Entire communities exist around spirit evocation, planetary magic, and invocations of the seal. Some claim real contact. Others report terrifying experiences, visions, voices, even unexplained injuries. Is this all fantasy? Or are we brushing up against ancient forces that have simply changed shape? Some researchers suggest that Solomon's ring and his magical legacy were never about demons at all. Instead, they see these entities as archetyped psychological forces within the human mind. In this view, Solomon was a master of consciousness, a proto-psychonaut who used divine names and ritual to navigate the inner universe. But if that's true, then the real demons are inside us, and Solomon's power was the power to conquer them. This theory finds strange support in modern depth psychology. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the hidden part of the psyche that contains repressed desires and ancient instincts. Facing the shadow, integrating it, brings wholeness. Solomon, perhaps, was not just a king, he was a bridge between light and dark, between heaven and earth, between the divine mind and the chaotic abyss. Could his ring have been a tool not of control, but of integration? If so, then the grimoires and legends were never meant for power, but for healing. Still, the physical mystery remains. If Solomon's ring existed, where is it now? Several theories exist. One points to Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church holds a long-standing belief that the Ark of the Covenant, and possibly Solomon's other relics, are hidden in a guarded church in Aksum. They also claim descent from Solomon, through the Queen of Sheba. Could his ring be among their treasures? Another theory links the ring to the Templars, who searched Jerusalem's ruins during the Crusades. Some believe they found ancient artifacts beneath the Temple Mount, items too powerful to reveal. The legend of Baphomet, the mysterious idol they were accused of worshipping, may stem from misunderstood relics or beings tied to Solomonic lore. And then there are those who say the ring was never lost, only hidden, not in vaults, but in symbols, encoded texts, ancient architecture, and even celestial alignments. That the ring's power lives on, not in metal, but in knowledge. Knowledge that has been passed down, hidden in plain sight. But what if Solomon's magic wasn't just personal power, but the foundation of entire civilizations? Ancient legends scattered across continents speak of great kings who could command the elements, animals, spirits, and stars kings who wore rings inscribed with sacred symbols and who built monuments that aligned with the heavens. From the stepped ziggurats of Mesopotamia to the obelisks of Egypt to the forgotten temples of Ethiopia and India, echoes of Solomonic power reverberate through cultures that, according to conventional history, should have never intersected. How could so many cultures carry such similar myths? One possibility, Solomon's influence, or that of his priests, spread far wider than Israel's borders. According to obscure Ethiopian texts like the Kebra Nagast, Solomon fathered a son, Menelik I, with the Queen of Sheba. This son, it is claimed, not only carried his royal bloodline to Africa, but also took with him sacred objects, possibly including the Ark of the Covenant and other instruments of divine power. If the ring was among them, it may not be in Jerusalem at all, but hidden in the mountainous monasteries of Ethiopia, where armed guards have watched over a sealed chamber for centuries. But that's only the beginning. Some researchers suggest that Solomon's bloodline was deliberately preserved through secret unions and royal intermarriages, not only in Africa, but in Europe. There are theories that link Solomon's descendants to the Merovingian kings of France, the Knights Templar, and even to modern royal houses. If that lineage survives, then perhaps so does the knowledge. In this view, the ring was not just a physical object. It was a symbol of divine kingship, a marker of spiritual authority passed from age to age, always hidden, always protected. This same ring, or its legacy, surfaces in tales from the Islamic world as well. In Sufi lore, the seal of Solomon is said to have been split in two halves, remaining in the visible world, half disappearing into the unseen. Some mystics believe that those who reach enlightenment will reclaim it not to command demons, but to master the dualities of existence, light and dark, life and death, heaven and earth. But others see it differently. Among the most secretive sects of early Islamic and Jewish mysticism were those who believed the ring itself was a key, not metaphorical, but literal, a key to open dimensional gateways, portals, hidden chambers beneath the earth, or in realms between dreams and reality. In one medieval legend, a traveler enters a mountain cavern and finds a throne room suspended in time. Upon the throne sits a slumbering king wearing a brass ring inscribed with divine names. The traveler is warned. He will awaken when the end draws near, when the war between heaven and earth begins again. Was this King Solomon or someone else? The text never says, but it leaves behind a question no one can ignore. Was the ring a tool of rulership in this world or in others? Modern esotericists have drawn strange connections between the seal of Solomon and ancient stargates. The hexagram, now commonly seen as the Star of David, has been interpreted in mystical circles as a symbol of interdimensional, balanced two overlapping triangles, representing the above and the below. Some believe this design, when constructed using sacred geometry, resonates at specific frequencies that open gateways to other planes of existence. These aren't just theories whispered in dark corners. In classified military programs, researchers in the mid-20th century, particularly during the Cold War, experimented with psychotronic devices, sound frequency modulation, and remote viewing. Files declassified from the Stargate project reveal strange experiments into psychic travel, some of which referenced ancient symbols and seals remarkably similar to those in Solomonic magic. What were they trying to access? And did they succeed? Parallel to this, occult revival movements in the 19th and 20th centuries, including the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Aleister Crowley's Thelema, and the modern Church of Satan, all reinterpreted elements of Solomonic magic. But with a twist. Rather than revering Solomon as a holy prophet, they viewed him as a magician who dared to challenge divine hierarchy, a Prometheus figure who stole power from the heavens. Was that how the demons saw him? According to the Lemegidon, many spirits bound by Solomon resented him. They obeyed because of the ring's authority, but they feared and despised him. Some, like Payman, were once kings themselves, now reduced to servants. Others vowed revenge. In some accounts, Solomon is warned by angels not to overstep his bounds, that each use of the ring carries a price. What was the price? We know from canonical texts that Solomon eventually fell into idolatry. He took foreign wives, built temples to other gods, and was said to have allowed spiritual corruption to spread through the land. But what if this wasn't just political compromise? What if it was a repercussion, the cost of engaging too deeply with forbidden knowledge? Some mystics believe the more you interact with spiritual entities, the more they mirror you, that your inner flaws become amplified in the spirit world, that pride, lust, and ambition can attract corresponding entities who feed on that energy, slowly influencing your thoughts, until you think they are your own. Could this be why Solomon, the wisest man on earth, turned away from God? Was he slowly possessed not in a dramatic Hollywood sense, but subtly, through whispers, impulses, illusions? Could the same happen to anyone today who dares use the old grimoires? This fear that ancient knowledge can consume its user is why many traditions hide their wisdom behind layers of allegory and secrecy. The grimoires are encoded. The rituals are dangerous, not only because of what they do, but because of what they open inside you. And yet, the temptation remains. In today's world, with digital scans of ancient texts, YouTube rituals, and forums full of self-proclaimed magicians, the seal is no longer sealed. Anyone can print the sigils, speak the names, draw the circle. But should they? That is the question Solomon never answered. Perhaps he couldn't. Perhaps the ring gave him power he could not control. Perhaps the demons obeyed, but never forgot. And perhaps in a forgotten tomb, a sealed vault, or a hidden monastery, the ring still waits, waiting for the next seeker. Not just to wear it, but to face the same choice Solomon did. Will they command the spirits? Or will the spirits command them? We began with a question, one that echoes through ancient corridors of time. Did King Solomon, the wisest man in biblical history, truly command demons with a magical ring? We followed that question through ancient scriptures and forbidden texts. Through the Testament of Solomon, where spirits tremble before a brass ring etched with the ineffable name of God. Through Kabbalistic mysteries and Islamic revelations that describe Solomon, not just as a king, but a prophet wielding divine forces beyond human comprehension. We explored how this mysterious ring may have been more than metal. It was a symbol, a key, a gateway to power, feared and desired by mystics, emperors, sorcerers, and secret orders for thousands of years. We unearthed tales of demons bound to labor under divine authority, of grimoires sealed with blood, and of the chilling possibility that the same spirits Solomon ruled still whisper through the cracks of reality, waiting for someone to listen. The story took us to the deserts of Ethiopia, the vaults beneath Jerusalem, and into the secret chambers of esoteric societies that claim to guard the legacy of Solomon. We examined theories of lost bloodlines, ancient technology, and the terrifying idea that Solomon's fall from grace Wasn't he just a moral failure, but the cost of peering too deeply into the abyss? Because the further you go into this mystery, the more the lines begin to blur. Was Solomon a righteous prophet, or the first occultist? Was his ring a divine gift, or a forbidden tool of sorcery? Were the demons his slaves, or his undoing? And then there's the final, lingering question, the one no one dares ask out loud. What if someone out there finds the ring again? What if it was never lost, only hidden, waiting for a time like ours, when ancient powers rise in new forms, when boundaries between science and magic begin to collapse, and when mankind, like Solomon, once again reaches for power it cannot contain? Whether you see it as myth, metaphor, or the shadow of a forgotten truth, Solomon's story is not over, because the seal still exists, the names are still known, and the spirits still remember.